Jesus is the word of Allah and a spirit from him. Allah chose a mate and has a son in the Quran. Allah chose a mate and had a son. Okay? Boom. In the Quran. And non-Muslims don't believe it, and some Muslims believe it, that Jesus has a son, that, how you call it, Allah has a mate and has a son. And we're going to prove it. We are going to prove it. The originator of the heavens and the earth, how could he have children when he has no mate? And he creates all things and has knowledge of everything. Now, here is saying that he has no mate, right? There's a problem. He has no mate. The creator of all things have no mate, right? As Zumar 39:4, had it been Allah's will, so Allah has his will, to have offspring, saying that if Allah wanted to have an offspring, he could have chosen whatever he will of his creation, right? So Allah himself says that he could have an offspring out of his creation if he wills it, right? Glory be to him. He is Allah and the one and the supreme. Remember, Allah is the same God of Abraham, Moses, right? Jacob, Israel. That's what Allah means, God. Okay? So the Muslims believe that Allah is the God of Moses, the God of Ishmael, right? But here it says, if he wants, he could choose out of his creation. Here it says, and remember, this is Alim Imar 33:42. And remember, when the angels, not angel, when the angels said, that means a whole bunch of angels, right? Said, not, they say that they try to put this as Angel Gabriel, but no, it's not an angel, it's angels said, O Miriam, surely Allah has selected you, purified you, and chosen you over all the women of the world. So, Allah has selected you. Who he selected? Miriam, Mary, the mother of Jesus. And not only say, Allah has selected you, purified you, and chose you over all the women of the world. Hold up. Let's go back. Boom. Okay, boom, boom. Allah, had it been Allah's will, he had to have offspring, he could have chosen. Let's change this word chosen to yellow, so we can really check that out. Boom. See that? Chosen. So Allah said if he wanted to, he could have chosen. So he did choose. He chosen whatever he wills over his creation. So here we see when he chooses Miriam, right? O Mara, surely Allah has selected you, purified you, and chosen you over all the women of the world. So he chose who? Miriam, right? And here's the proof. Hold on, sorry guys. Here's the proof. And Mary, the daughter of Imran. We know it's not Imran. This is clearly a mistake. But they say, oh no, it's because of, how you call it? Because it's from the family lineage, something like that. And okay, we leave it at that. I'm not going to argue that point. My point is not that. Who guards her chastity, right? Who guard her chastity means she was a virgin, right? So we breathed into her from our spirit. So we breathed into her from our spirit. Who breathed into her from our spirit? Is this a royal we? Is this a royal we? Because they always say this is a royal we. So how would this be a royal we? So we breathe into her from our spirit, right? They'll try to change this to Gabriel or something, but I'm going to show you that spirits are not angels and angels are not spirit in the Quran. And he said, believe in the word of her Lord and his scriptures, right? And she was among the obedient. Ali Imran 3:39. So the angels called out to, notice again, angels, not Gabriel, angels called out to him while he stood praying in the sanctuary. Allah gives you a good news of John, Allah gives you good news of John, who will confirm the word of Allah. And we're going to find out who is the word of Allah. The word of Allah, and will be a great leader, chaste and prophet among his righteous. And let's look, it says almost the same thing for Jesus, right? Remember when the angels proclaim, angels. Don't let them put how you call it Gabriel, because it's the word here is angels. Okay? Proclaim, O Mary, Allah gives you good news of a word from him. Who's the word from? Allah. His name will be the Messiah, Jesus Christ. Notice that his name will be the Messiah, Jesus, not just Isa. The Messiah Isa, that's his name together. Messiah Isa, right? That makes him distinguished from all the prophets, because Moses was named Messiah. Moses, he was named Moses, but Jesus here is named the Messiah Jesus. That's his name, fully the Messiah Jesus, Son of Mary, honored in this world, right? And the hereafter. And he will be one of those nearest to who? To Allah. 345. We're gonna remember this verse right here. We're gonna remember this verse right here, 345. Because I'm gonna bring this up later on. 345. With 345, remember this, I'm gonna talk about the Al-Malik. It's gonna talk about Jesus being the Al-Malik, meaning Jesus being king. And according to Islam sources, they say Jesus is not no king, never been a king of what? So in their own sources, we're going to show Jesus the Al-Malik. And then not only he's the Al-Malik, but when he says the Al-Malik, we're talking about everlasting too. Now, we're going to go to Sahih Muslim 195. And we're going to go to this section, and I'm gonna bring it to in your language too, don't worry. They would come to Moses, peace be upon him. He would say, I am not in a position to do that. You better go to who? Jesus, the Word of Allah and His Spirit. Notice the Word of Allah and His Spirit is a person, because Jesus is a person. So they're saying Jesus is the Word of Allah and His Spirit. So he said, no, this is just a title. This is just a title for Him. Okay, you know what? I'm sorry to say, but everything has a title. A car has a title, right? Does it stop existing? A house got a title. Does it stop existing if it's not a title? Okay? Jesus Christ is the Word of God. Okay, we have to name Him something. Now His name, the Word of Allah and His Spirit. The Word of Allah, Allah's Word is eternal. I'm going to show you scriptures later on that Allah's Word is eternal. And if Jesus is the Word of Allah, that means Jesus has to be eternal. And not only is He the Word of Allah, it says, and His Spirit. Okay? So, Sahih Muslim 195 is telling you that Jesus is the Word of Allah and His Spirit. And if you want to read this, you can pause it right here.
Have a good day.
I'm here. I'm being very fair with the word, and I'm showing you something. Now, remember, I said before that whenever it says angel, you have to make sure it's angel versus spirit, right? Because they will tell you in the position of angel, of spirit, they'll say, "Oh, that means it's Gabriel." And I'm going to show you that in the Quran, an angel is not a spirit and a spirit is not an angel. That night, the angels and the spirit descended. The angels and the spirit. Angels are not spirits. Spirits are not angels, right? And notice here, and I'm going to give you the word right here. Look, so you can hear it, because I want you to hear the words.
Al-malaikatu. Al-malaikatu.
Al-malaikatu means angel.
War-ruhu. War-ruhu.
Angels. So angels and spirit in the Quran are two different things. In our doctrine, Christian doctrines, we know that an angel is a spirit and a spirit is an angel. But in the Quran, in their belief, in their theology, a spirit is not an angel and an angel is not a spirit. Inclusive, they say that Allah is not a spirit. Oh, I forgot to put the verse here. Sorry for that, for my mistake. I didn't put the verse here, and I'm going to have to get it. So it said, she took a veil besides them, right? No, she kept herself. Veil, remember, a veiled woman that keeps herself. So we sent our spirit to who? To her. Did He send an angel? Ooh, let's see what it says. Let's see what it says. Look at the word angel here.
Ruhana.
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 Oh. She took a veil besides them. In other words, she kept herself from men. She kept herself away from men. So we sent our spirit to her, and he appeared to her as a what? Perfect man. Now, if this person appeared to her as a perfect man, who was it? Because it wasn't Gabriel. It was not Gabriel. Thank you, guys. It's not Gabriel. I just proved to you that angels are not spirits, and spirits are not angels according to the Quran doctrine. The night, the angels, and the spirit descended by the permission of the Lord forever, for every matter. So that means angels are not spirits, and spirits are not angel. So who is this deity? Who is this? Who is this person? Who is this person? We sent our spirit to her, and he appeared to her as a perfect man. So this spirit shows himself as a man, a perfect man. One thing, is this Isa before incarnation? Or what can it be? Who can it be? Because it cannot be Allah, because Allah's the one that's sent. Right? Allah's the one that's sent. We sent our spirit to her. See? We sent our. Who's the we? So if that's Allah, right? He sent his spirit to her. So he said, he sent his spirit to who? To her. And he appeared to her as a what? Perfect man. Okay. So we're out of this one. So I proved to you in this PowerPoint, Allah chosen a mate and has a son. Because now, it says, we breathed into her. Right? We breathed into her from our spirit. So we know Mary has no husband. Mary did not consummate with a man. Therefore, Jesus have to have a father, right? Because he came from Allah. It was Allah's what? Breath, his word, which came into Mary. So his word was cast into Mary, right? And we're going to see that later on. His word was cast into Mary, right? But here we see, we breathed into her from our spirit, right? So, who's the father of Jesus? He has no father, because for you to have a baby, you need a mother and you need a father. To unite. So how did Allah unite with Mary? Because he chose her by his breath. And we breathed into her from our spirit. Let's go somewhere else, okay? We're gonna go to another slide. Okay. Boom. Should I go this one? Yes. Okay, no. Let's leave that last one. Let's leave this one for last. So I told you that Jesus is the word of Allah. I proved to you that Jesus is the word of Allah and his spirit, according to what? Sahih Muslim, right? Yeah, she believed in the word of the Lord. You're right. So check it out. Allah's word is eternal. So if Jesus is the word of Allah, right, and a spirit from him, that means he's eternal. And let's prove it. Watch this. Also includes 7 other attributes called significant attributes. And why other? Because he got other attributes. He got other attributes, right? But these are signified attributes, right? They are Allah be Allah be powered, that Allah be willful, that Allah be knowing, that Allah be living, that Allah be seeing, that Allah be what? Speaking, and that Allah be hearing. And that means that Allah be speaking his word. His words. That's one of his attributes, his word, his speech. His word and his speech are the same thing. So I looked for up some information. Here's some sources. Here down here, some other sources here. Over here says it again too over here. Right? So it says, and the Quran is the speech, kalam, of Allah. So the Quran is the speech of what? Allah. The speech of Allah is what? The attribute, sifat, the attributes of Allah. And the attributes of Allah cannot what? Be created. You know what? Let me underline this, guys. I have to underline it so that people could really see it. Boom. The attributes of Allah cannot be what? Created. So I mean, the word of Allah cannot be created. And even though he speak out his word to create, his word that created cannot be what? Created. Right? I don't know if you understood what I just said. Allah's words that creates, right? And whatever he creates is created, but yet the word that he used to create is uncreated. Okay, it says here, the being of Allah is eternal. So all the qualities or attributes of Allah. So that means his attribute, if Allah's eternal, that means his attributes are eternal. So I don't know who will be telling you, oh, his attributes are not eternal. Yes. So the Quran is the speech of Allah, which is eternal and cannot create, right? And the Quran is the speech of Allah, which is eternal and not created. Not created. Don't say it's in create. It says not created. Now it says here, it is written in where? I'm going to butcher up these words, so I'm not even going to mention them up, because I'll be butchering up them names. Allah's attributes are eternal. They are not new or created. Whosoever say that the attributes of Allah are not eternal, or they are created, or have doubt regarding them, he is a disbeliever in Allah. Kafir. That means he's a kafir if you don't believe that his attributes are eternal. If you don't believe that the Quran is eternal, you're kafir. If you don't believe that the word of Allah is eternal, you're kafir according to your religion. Remember, guys, this is for educational purpose. This is not to discriminate, right? We don't discriminate race or gender. We don't discriminate. We just, for educational purpose, right? We love Muslims and we just trying to bring them to the truth. So it says, unlike human speech, it is eternal and uncreated. He's talking about the word of Allah. There goes the sources. If you want to get the sources, right there, the sources. Okay, he said, we do not argue about the Quran, rather we testify that it is the word of what? Allah. The word of the Lord. This would be Allah. Of the universe, and reveals through the trustworthy spirit who taught it to the paragon of messengers, Muhammad. It is the word of God, the sublime and eternal. No mortal speech compares to it, and we do not say it is created. Guys, share the live, guys. Hit some hearts and share the lives. Right? So Allah, word is eternal. Right? Allah's word is one of his attributes. Right? Allah's word is one of his attributes. Allah's words cannot be created. Cannot be created. Right? And these are some of the places of the Quran that talks about the word of God, the word, right? Jesus is referred as the word from God in 3 passages in the Quran. No other prophet has been described as such title. No other prophet has been described as the word of Allah. And it's here in Quran 34. We already read this. O Mary, behold, God gave you news of word from him who shall become known as the what? Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary. Quran 4:171 says the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, was only a messenger of God, and his word which he conveyed to Mary. But you know what they did? They added only a messenger. But you know what? Check it out. He's the word that was cast, and this is supposed to be cast. I just put here because I couldn't find I will be correcting this in the future. But here the word is cast unto Mary. Right? So not only he is his word, but he's also a spirit from him. Okay, in Quran 3:39 says, God gives you good news of news of a son whose name is John, who comes to confirm a word from God. See, now he came to confirm a word from God. Right? So in other words, and we know as Christians, John came to confirm Jesus. John came to be a way, to make the way for Jesus. We know that John came to declare the path of Jesus, right? And exclusive, John asked, right? John asked his disciples, is Jesus the Messiah, right? Is he the one that we've been waiting for? And when they went to Jesus and asked Jesus, Jesus said, the blind see, the cripple walk. Meaning that he said, yes, I am the Messiah. Because only these signs were going to come from God. And these were the signs that our earlier prophets were talking about. Okay? Now, the Christian belief is that in the first chapter of the Gospel John, Jesus is identified as the Word, the Logos in Greek, incarnated or made flesh. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, fully of grace and truth. Surah 4:171. Look at it right here. I'm going to translate this here. This is a translation of that. O people of the book, do not exceed the bond in your religion, and do not attribute anything to Allah except the truth. The Messiah Jesus, son of Mary, was only an apostle. Okay, that's what he says, because that's what they're trying to make it say. But it says here, and his word, right? So he's only an apostle of Allah, but it says, and his word that he cast towards Mary and a spirit from him. So he's just an apostle, but now we show up that he's his word and a spirit from him. So how can he just be only an apostle, but now he's the word that was casted to Mary? So notice, his word that he cast towards Mary. So it means the word was cast, not a word of creation, but his word was cast into Mary. Just like we believe that happened in the Bible, right? Mary and a spirit from him. So have faith in Allah and his what? Apostle. Okay? So they try to change everything around so you won't believe. You won't believe, okay? But a lot of this we know is a lot of plagiarism from our Bible. Right? And they trying to change all a meaning our meaning of the Bible according to what they want. But this is what it says. This word is the one that shows up. He threw it or cast. Right? Here is the word. Kali Matahu. And a spirit from him. Ruhu. Ruhu. Shaib Muslim 195. We read this already. We read this already in the other slide. You better go to Jesus and the word of Allah and his spirit. Okay? And that, we already know that was where? Hold up. That was here. You want to look for it? You could clip, take a picture of it, and this is where it's at. Now, for my last slide. Okay, so we proved on this slide, hold up. So we prove on this slide, Allah's word is eternal. So therefore Jesus is Allah's word, which was cast into Mary, right? And because it's Allah's word and because it's one of his attributes, Jesus, Isa, is eternal. Jesus is the Son. Jesus is God in the Quran. Not only Jesus is the Son, right, by selection of Mary, and by Allah being the procreator, right? Because when you unite to a woman, you're the one, the seed comes out for you. So the seed of Allah, or his wind, went into Mary and procreated a son of the flesh. A son of the flesh, which is Jesus Christ, right, in their own Quran, and they don't believe it, right? So I'm going to show you Jesus is God in the Quran. Now I'm going to show this because we're going to be looking at a word, a specific word, which is called Al-Malik. He rules or the king. There's only two things. He rules or the king, okay? There is a difference in Al-Malik. Notice this one without that little line on top. And Al-Malik. Notice these two, the way they're spelled. You see that? See the A? Let me mark it right here. Let me put this A right here. Boom. Notice these A's. This is the difference in these two words. You notice that when I'm doing these lives, not a single Muslim comes up. Okay? So notice here, the A, and here the A. There's just one difference in these two words, and it's the way you pronounce the A. Right? Potentially, the difference is the second is said with a stress on the letter A. Al-Malik is a king, a ruler over his subjects, whereas Al-Malik is the master and owner. Now, the one with the lie on top is master and owner, and the other one without is Al-Malik, right? That means he is what? King and ruler over his subjects. Okay? The Al-Malik is king whose limits are not confined to boundaries. He is everlasting and is in time and space, right? He can never be addicted from his throne and doesn't need the support of his subjects. So he's king no matter what. Right, so let's go. Let's change this. Let's go for another one. So this is what we were talking about a few minutes ago. See this one with the line on top? See the line on top? See this word right here? Look how it's written. Notice this word right here, how it's written. That's the difference right here where the arrow's at. Boom, there goes the difference. This one right here, I could have gave the reference. But I'm gonna show you with it because this is right here. It's not really. I mean, it's really. Matter of fact, right here, look, boom. See it? Let me write it. Let me put right here, boom. Right here. Allah's messenger as stating that God most high saying, it is the first and the last of you, the living and the dead among you, those of you who are fresh and those of you who are withered, had all hearts as wretched as the heart of the most wretched of my servants, that would not diminish as much as a gannet wing from my dominion. Okay, but it's a good point, but I'm gonna show you where these come from. Okay, and I'm gonna show you where this is. If you want to go, we're gonna have to look for a dictionary or something, an Arab dictionary, so like that we could actually come from there. Okay, so we already know what's the difference between these two words. It's this letter here, this letter here. We know the one here is only a master and owner. That means you could be a master of a property, master of people, owner of people, right? But not like this one that says, Allah is a king whose limits are not confined to boundaries. He is everlasting in time and space. So let's say this, boom. When the angel, Mary said, go give you good tidings of a word from him, whose name is the Messiah, Jesus, right? Remember this right here I told you we were going to be talking about, 345? 345? So, Son of Mary, who is worthy in the world and hereafter, and one of those who are closer to him. Okay? Look at this. Master of the day of judgment. Look at the word here. This is talking about Allah. See that word right there? Let me change that word. Let's change it to a color. Let's change it to a color. Come on, boom. Oh, I didn't fully do it. I didn't fully do it. No, I didn't fully do it completely. Okay. So notice. Al-Malik here. This is the Al-Malik. Master of the day of judgment. This could only be a tribute to Allah. This master of the day in the universe, this could only be a tribute to Allah. So if it's a tribute to Jesus, like we said, then Jesus is also eternal. Okay? Remember Quran 3:45 that we just read? This is a reference. This is where we're gonna get some reference from Ammar bin, that he said in the Tasfir from Quran 3:45. This is the legitimate source. Okay, the Messiah is the Al-Malik, the King. That's what it's gonna say. Remember what I just said. The Messiah is the Al-Malik. Notice there's no line here. The King. This is your source. This is your source. Okay, let me get a little closer to it so like that people can see it. See, that's your sources. That's your original sources. Right? But you want to see it. So I put the information here. If you want to look for that tafsir, volume 5. And not only I'm gonna show you here, I'm gonna show you on page 200 of that same tafsir, page 200, verse 1291:7. And you read here, the person that's talking about it, and then right here, this word. This word is Messiah. This word is the Messiah. Okay, the Messiah. Let me show you something real quick. No, I can't change it from here because if I'll mess it up. Okay, this is right here is Messiah, right? Notice how they make sure that you knew that was Messiah, and notice how they separated this from this. But it's just the Messiah, ... Al-Malik, meaning the Messiah, the Al-Malik. Remember what I told you about here? Notice his word. Notice how it looks. 1 line, 2 line, not 3 lines. Remember here? Notice this is 3 lines. Notice here, not 3 lines. Al-Malik. So, remember here? This right here? Notice? Boom. Jesus, the Messiah, Al-Malik. The Messiah is the Al-Malik, the King. Boom.
عن أبي عامر بن العلاء إنه قال المسيح, when he's explaining chapter 3:45, المسيح الملك, the Messiah Jesus, because that's his name in the...
Oh, sorry, I wanted to hear.
أبي عامر بن العلاء إنه قال al-Masihu, when he's explaining chapter 3:45, al-Masihu al-Maliku, the Messiah Jesus, because that's his name in the...
So this right here is explaining verse 3, chapter 3, verse 35 of the Quran, right? And this is the earlier text. The earlier they forgot about this one. This is one of the ones they forgot about, right? But it's credible. Look what it says. You want to hear it again?
Amr bin al-Ala, innahu qal al-Masihu, when he's explaining chapter 3:45, al-Masihu al-Maliku, the Messiah Jesus, because that's his name in the...
That's his name, the Messiah Jesus al-Maliku. And let's go here. And then this is, and I forgot exactly. I was supposed to get the verse here. Knight, can you look for the verse real quick so I can update this here? Where it says the Messiah, when it says as the Lord beside Allah and Messiah, where they taking the monks and the Pharisees, they took the monks and the priests as lords besides Allah and the Messiah. Can you please get me the verse real quick so I can put it down here? I forgot to add that in there. So notice here, this says they take their priests and their monks as lords, right? So it's the kings and monks as lords, apart from God and Christ, apart from Allah and the Messiah, son of Mary. Who were they worshiping? The priests and the monks. They were saying they'll worship the priests and the monks. Why would they say priests and what they were made for? Because apparently Muhammad, you know, his wife was a Catholic nun that he married. She was Catholic. So what he's saying is the priests and the Catholic monks from the Catholic Church, what he was saying is that they took them as gods, right? That's what it says. I'm taking their priests and their monks as lords, right? Apart from God and Christ, apart from Allah and the Messiah. So why is the Messiah, if he's not to be worshipped with Allah, why is the Messiah next to Allah? What they're going to tell you, oh no, you have to know there's a rules to grammar. When it says certain things a certain way, you have to look and you have to put this name over here and this and that and that. So I said, okay, let's see. So I went to some Arab Christians, right, that know true Arab, and he said there's no such rule. You have to take this just like it is. It's not my fault that whoever wrote these words in your Quran made a fatal mistake and put Messiah next to Allah. They take their priests and their monks as Lord apart from God and Christ, the Son of Mary, right? The Son of Mary. Knight, did you get that for me? I guess Knight didn't get it for me. So anyway, we're gonna look for this verse, and I'm gonna get you the exact verse where this comes from. Because I like to have everything in place. So like that, nobody can say, oh, where's that from? That's not credible source. That hadith is weak. Because that's the number one thing that they do is front flip, back flip, side flip, and all kinds of flip, right? They're professional gymnastic when it comes to the word. So, okay, this should be this one right here. You see here? See, they taken their rabbis and their priests and monks to be their lords, besides Allah. So notice what they did here. Besides Allah, and they taken as their lords. Okay. So notice what they did here. Notice that they changed it around, right? Notice what they did here. Because they're trying to rectify the problem. They're trying to rectify the problem. It says here, they taking their rabbis, priests, and monks to be their Lord, besides Allah. And they taken as their Lord the Messiah, son of Mary. Yet they were commanded to worship but one God. So notice what they're saying here, right? And you got a problem because that's not what it says. Anyway, let's look for the verse here because I want to copy the verse. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this verse. Oh, my Lord. I want to copy this verse. Let me see. Where's this verse? Okay, verse. Copy. Boom. See, notice, guys, I'm giving you straight out the source. I don't want to be biased. Okay, let's see. We put insert, text box, and we're gonna put it right down here. Paste, and we're gonna change the color. Oh, I don't want to change. I'll leave it right there. So that would be Surah At-Tawbah, verse 31, Quran. That'll be verse 31, Quran 9, verse 31. Okay, that's the source. And watch this. Notice what it says here, the way this says it here. This is their own Quran, the way it's written. Okay, so let's go to their website. Let me go to your website, and we're gonna go look at 931. We're gonna go to their own website, 931. We'll go Quran. So y'all know that I'm not lying. Okay, 931. Because they try to change things around because it's getting too uncomfortable for them. And it's all misinformation, right? So notice, look here. It said they have taken their rabbis and their monk as well as the Messiah. Notice the way they say it right here, look how deceitful they are. They have taken their rabbis and their monk as well as the Messiah, son of Mary, as Lord. Hold on, guys. I have to do this thing real quick. No. Okay. Man, they almost took me out. I hate when they do that. Okay. So it says here, watch this. Sorry, guys. So notice right here. Look, notice right here. They have taken their rabbis and their monk as well as the Messiah, son of Mary, as Lord besides Allah, right? Notice the way they say it. But let's go to the original. They have taken their rabbis and their monks as Lord, besides Allah and the Messiah, son of Miriam. So, why would they flip it? Why would they flip it? Why would they change it? Why would they change it? Why would they be so deceitful of changing this around, right? What does Allah say about changing his word? Okay? What does Allah talks about reading something and translating it different? Wasn't that what you accused the Christians of doing with the word? That's why you say that the word is corrupt, because what we read and then we translate it differently to deceive y'all. But this is what you're doing right here. They have taken their rabbis and monks as well as the Messiah. It does not say up here. It does not say like that. They have taken the rabbis and their monks as Lord, besides Allah and the Messiah. So the Allah and the Messiah are together as being worshipped. As being worshipped. Now who's Lord here? Who's they worshiping? Who they taking as Lord? The monks and the priest. The monks and the priest. And then it says, besides Allah and the Messiah. So Allah and the Messiah are supposed to be worshipped. So if they worship, that means the Messiah also God. So through your own scriptures, I have proven to you that Jesus Christ is what? I proved that Jesus Christ is what? Is God in the Quran. I prove it to you through their own scriptures that Jesus is God in the Quran. Jesus is the Al-Malik. Jesus is the Al-Malik. Jesus is the Al-Malik. King that has no boundaries. King that's eternal, according to their scriptures. Remember what we was talking about here. Amalek is a king whose limited, king whose limits are not confined to boundaries. He is everlasting in time and space. So if they're calling Jesus the king, the Amalek, they're saying that he is everlasting and has no boundaries. And has no boundaries. And I just proven to you through your own scriptures that Jesus, the Messiah, is God. Because if he's the Al-Malik, if he's the king, he has no boundaries and he's everlasting. Okay? Oh, but he's created. No. The word of Allah was cast into Mary, and that's how Jesus became about. Just like a man and a woman unites together, Allah chose Mary and blew his breath, and Jesus came about to be. But only the flesh. That means he incarnated into flesh. Okay? Now remember that verse that we talked about. Remember that verse that we talked about. The man, okay, let's boom. Is that it? Okay, the man. Remember that verse that we was talking about before? Let me see if I see it again. She took a veil besides them